Hey, hello. This is Mr. Urban. I'm going to today be doing the lab investigation with you called Exothermic or Endothermic Exothermic, a lab investigation. This video is going to take you through how to do it. You're going to need to observe it so that you can get the data that you need to complete the lab. It's actually a pretty easy activity. It's just a matter of really following directions. So here's what I have in front of me today. I have 4 beakers that are labeled A, B, C, and D. I have some tap water here at room temperature. Same thing in these 2 beakers. I'm going to use these two for my rinsing stations. I have some stir sticks, which are over here. I've got some vinegar, also known as acetic acid. And I have in these cups right here, this real fine grained one. This is baking soda. And in here, I have calcium chloride. That's what you put on your sidewalks to melt it. Okay, so those are all the materials I need. It says on the procedure, and you can read this over with me as you go through this. It says, get all necessary materials, which I have. Fill the 250 milliliter beaker with 100 milliliters of room temperature water. I use 200 because I'd like to have some extra while I'm filming. Label 4 beakers A, B, C, and D. Okay, now it says pour 10 milliliters of water into A and B. So I'm going to just roughly put in here 10 milliliters. Let's see here. Again, these are marked not for exact measurements, for close measurements. Okay, I got 10 milliliters of water in there. Measure the water temperature in A and B and record it in the data table. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to take my thermometer and I'm going to put it in here. I want to make sure that bulb gets under there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to let that sit there and get to temperature. We'll see what it says here. And it says we have to record that in the data table under the initial temperature of A and B. And you're going to see that that's located up in here. Initial temperature A, initial temperature of B. Okay, so we're just going to leave that here for 1 second. All right. So I'm going to look at A right here. And A, we're going to do this in degrees Celsius. A is reading about, looks to be about 19 degrees Celsius for A. So you'll want to record that in there for A. Initial temperature, 19 degrees Celsius. And B, this one could be a little bit off with the thermometer, but it's reading 22 degrees Celsius for B. 22 degrees Celsius for B. Okay, so we got that done. All right, now it says using a small plastic scoop, 1 spoonful of baking soda, level it with a wooden stick, put it into beaker A. Okay, so we're going to take 1 scoop of the baking soda. We're going to take it just like this. Okay, I'm doing it left-handed. I'm normally right-handed. It says to kind of get it straight there. Okay, and now we're going to dump it in A. So I can take it out. I'm going to dump that in A. And it says here, stir with a stirring rod. So I'm going to use my stirring rod. I'm going to stir it. Okay. It says observe it for about 1 minute. And then take a temperature and record it in the data table. So I'm going to hold it up here to the camera in just a second. Okay, here's what A looks like. You can see it up close there. And we'll put the thermometer in it. Okay, we'll see what we get here. Gonna make sure you can kind of see here. So that's kind of where we're at. The camera doesn't want to focus on it that well, but that's okay. So just gonna stir it here for a little bit more. Okay, it's looking to be 18 degrees Celsius. So 18 degrees Celsius. So I got a little change out of that. So I'm recording that as my final temperature for beaker A. Okay. rinse and wipe the stirring stick after each use. So I am rinsing that there. Okay, I got a paper towel over here. I'm wiping it off. Okay, so that's all ready. All right, do not discard the contents of beaker A. It will be used later. Keep it aside. Okay, so now we're on to number 10 here. Using a small plastic spoon, scoop 1 spoonful of calcium chloride, level it with a wooden stick, and put it into beaker B. So I'm going to take my stick here, or my spoon. I'm going to dig out 1 little spoonful of it. You can see here's my little spoonful. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put this in here. And now I'm going to stir it around. Okay, stirring it around here. It says to stir it for 1 minute, so I'm going to keep stirring it. I'll hold it up so you can see it. That's kind of what it's looking like. You can see there's some of them in the bottom that haven't yet dissolved, but for the most part, that's kind of the way it looks. Okay. Most of it seems to be dissolving now. There's still a couple little ones on the bottom, but the majority of it. So I'm going to rinse here. Okay, I'm going to put my thermometer back in. I'm trying to control the variables. That's why I'm keeping the same thermometer. Okay, you can see, let's see if I can hold it up for you here. That's kind of where it is. I'll read it exactly for you, though, in just a second. Okay, it looks like it's up to 24 degrees Celsius. 24 degrees Celsius. Okay. All right, so I put 24 degrees Celsius into the data table there. I'm going to rinse this stick. Okay, I'm going to dry it off over here. Perfect. Okay, and then what I'm going to do next is, it says for number 12, next pour all the contents of beaker A into beaker C. All right, so this is beaker B. I'm going to keep this thermometer with B. So it says take all of this A and pour it into C. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to pour it into C right here. Okay, put the thermometer back in it. So it says pour A into C, measure the temperature, and record it in the data table. So let's give it a second here to see what we're at. I'll just kind of hold it up. I know you can't read it exactly on there, but it does give you an idea roughly where it is. So, okay, the exact temperature on that is 19 degrees Celsius. So see now, the initial temperature is 19 degrees Celsius. Okay. Using a small plastic spoon, scoop 1 spoonful of calcium chloride and put it into beaker C. So I'm taking my little scooper rooper and I'm getting it here, a nice level scooper full. This scoop is so small that I don't really need to level it off because it's pretty level, just like that. Okay, now it says to put it in there into C. Put it into C. Okay, we got it into C with calcium chloride there. And it says to stir it for, says here, stir it with a stirring rod, observe it for a minute. So you can see here I'm stirring. Look at this time. We got ourselves a little bit more. It's a little bit, seems like you can't see through the solution very much. There's really not too many chunks on the bottom. Okay, we'll keep stirring here for a little bit. And it says measure the temperature and record it in the data table. So I might as well get my thermometer in there. Okay, you can see the bulb is covered. Okay, you can see here roughly. Oh, it's fizzing. You can see it fizzing in there. See that? Nice come. Oh, it seems to be getting more vigorous. Okay. I'll keep stirring with this. Look at it. It's a little bit more vigorous. Okay. Okay, we'll let that go for just a minute here. Okay. And it looks to be like the temperature now is 20 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees Celsius. So now we're supposed to record that as our final temperature in letter C, 20 degrees Celsius. Okay. All right, so we got number 14 is done now. Okay, number 15, it says pour 10 milliliters of vinegar into beaker D, which is the one I'm holding right here. Okay, so I'm going to take this fancy vinegar. I'm going to pour a little bit in here. Okay, not a huge amount. $10 milliliters, roughly. Okay. All right. Put the cap on there. Okay, it says measure the temperature of the vinegar and record it in the data table. So I'm going to rinse this real quick. Okay, we're going to put this in here and see what the temperature is. Again, you got to make sure that the bulb gets covered so that way you have a good, accurate measurement. So by holding it forward and keeping the bulb under there, we're doing pretty good. Okay, and it's looking like this right here is about, or exactly, 22 degrees Celsius. So we'll record that under beaker D as 22 degrees Celsius. All right. Okay, and next it says, using a small plastic spoon, scoop 1 spoonful of baking soda and level it with a wooden stick. Now, I think if you were anything like me when I was a kid, if I had baking soda and vinegar at home, I know what it would do. Okay, so I'm going to pour this in here, and I think you're going to know exactly what it's going to do. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, and then I'll pour it in here. Oh, look at it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Yeehaw. Look at that. Oh, my. Okay. All right. It says I'm supposed to let it go for a minute, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the thermometer in there now, since it's bubbling away. Put the thermometer in there. Get it so it's covered. And you can see here, it's kind of, I know it's hard to see with this. Okay. All right. Ooh, it went up. Okay, I'm reading 24 degrees Celsius. 24 degrees Celsius. So you're going to record that in the final temperature. All right. Now all you got to do, now that we have all the data here, all you really have to do is you have to figure out the change from the final minus the initial. So final minus initial, and then you have to figure out if it's exothermic or endothermic. Okay, so just the change. And again, you want to keep the numbers, if they're like, if you have 18 minus 19, okay, then it went down by 1 degree, keep it as a negative number. If you had a final minus the initial, okay, just like I said, keep your positives and your negatives. So you should be able to compare them and figure out what happened to the temperature. And that's going to be the key to the exothermic or endothermic. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the video and you can answer the questions then, okay? All right, thank you very much. I'm going to clean up my lab stuff. So have a good day.